What's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. I hope you all have had a great Wednesday. It has been insanely cold for May 12th. That is for sure. If you live in the Carolinas, you have felt it all day. We picked up a lot of beneficial rain, but the price we had to pay for it was extremely, well, I wouldn't say extremely, but it was very cold air for May 12th standards. Temperatures have dropped all day. We didn't really see those records I thought we would, but that's only because I mentioned about 2 days ago that the only reason we wouldn't see the records was if we were hanging on to more warmer air around midnight. The way the National Weather Services go off record high maximum low temperatures or whatever, or low temperatures, is it occurs in the 24 hours in that specific day. So 12:01 last night a.m. all the way till 11:59 p.m. tonight. So at 12:01 a.m. it was still 70 degrees at the Columbia Airport, and the record maximum high low max was 66 degrees. But the temperatures have dropped all the way from then all the way till now, and right now we're at 48 degrees. It's 7:13 on May 12th. Normally it's around 80 something degrees right now, so it's incredible. Definitely impressive air mass as a cold air damming event has been locked in. But in this video, what we're going to talk about now is what can we kind of expect the rest of May. We're getting deeper into spring. I tell you what, usually this time of the year, obviously today is an exception, we're starting to pretty much call it summer around here, depending on where you are in the southeast. And mid-Atlantic is definitely starting to shift more into warmer air, and of course just depending on where you are. But there's a lot to talk about because I'm starting to see hints that the tropics begin to fire up. The Gulf of Mexico, maybe some low pressures forming as we get towards the end of month. So that is something interesting I'm going to mention in this video. You're just starting to see hints of it. This is normally the time of the year where you start to see it, and it seems like we get a tropical events earlier and earlier each year. So we're going to kind of take a look at that, talk about severe weather chances, and really dive deep into rest of the May. So definitely hit the subscribe button if you haven't. Like the video if you do, and I appreciate y'all's support. So really right now what we'll do is we'll look at day 4 to day 8. And really, social media and the weather world, they're really starting to talk about the potential for severe weather really ramping up here in the Midwest, and the true Midwest, if you will, starting around Saturday and maybe lasting the next 4 or 5 days. But I tell you, really, honestly, you look at the National Weather Services Storm Prediction Center, and they're not really biting on it right at this second. But I really think you'll start to see the 15% chance outlook start popping up here, because there is some strong signals for severe weather. And I'm not going to talk about that a whole lot in this, because honestly, I'm not going to bring it up until they bring it up. But I will tell you that if you live in the Midwest, Texas, Oklahoma, even Arkansas, even around here in the southeast, any event you see out there could dwindle into our area. But severe weather chances can pick back up and will. We're starting to get into peak severe weather season in this area over here. So it's definitely something we need to watch, that's for sure, in this area over here as in the Midwest. So like I always say, the jet stream on average begins to shift more and more north as you get later into the year, more into late May into June. Severe weather season begins to shift, or peak severe weather season begins to shift north. So what we got here is we'll look at the GFS, we'll look at Tropical Tidbits, which is accessible for the public. It's free. It's an awesome site. So what we got here is we're moving forward. We're getting past this rainy day. We're going to have a couple cool days. We'll show temperatures in a second. But as far as storm systems, what you got Saturday is you begin to start to see a lot of activity out here in the Midwest and South Central U.S. You get days on end of the chance of thunderstorms. You get a surge of moisture that really rides all the way up into the Midwest, and you get severe weather ingredients basically for severe weather. I know a lot of storm chasers are going to be happy out there, but next week might be a big week for storm chasers in the Midwest. But basically GFS is just going to show activity. It's going to show a lot of greens, yellows, and reds. But basically that symbolizes that it's going to be active out there. We're not even close to short range models as far as getting a kind of a bird's eye view of what's going to occur next week. The longest short range model we have is an 84-hour NAM 12 km, and we're not in range of that even close right now into next week. So moisture, as far as if you're in the southeast, will eventually start to get some moisture. We might almost get like a northwest flow where you have high pressure right over here, and systems begin to kind of drift from the northwest. But we'll see. It's kind of hard to know exactly how we're going to get our storms that far out. But I tell you, you start looking next week, and it really looks active. And this activity might begin to shift a little bit further east. So we'll watch that. It looks like it's going to be a pretty active end to the month as it continues to stay active in the Midwest. But this is getting pretty far out. You're starting to get into 10 days out. So it kind of loses its accuracy, obviously. But as far as temperatures, we are going to gradually warm up. Check out how consistent the entire country is besides South Florida as far as temperatures. I ain't never seen nothing like that. All the way from Maine, the whole entire middle of the country to eastern U.S. is in the 60s or they're in the 70s. So tomorrow is still going to be cool in the southeast. You're still going to be cool in areas, but it's going to be more like a early to mid spring day. If that makes any sense. Early to mid-season spring day. Temperatures are going to reach the 60s to 70s. But it's going to warm up gradually. Another cool night across the eastern U.S. for Friday morning. And then we're going to start warming up more and more. We're starting to get gradually back to higher temperatures. But I tell you what, the whole weekend, really across the entire eastern U.S., the southeast, everybody, it is not going to be very hot. It's going to be more of a spring-like weekend. So it's not going to be great pool weather, but it's going to be beautiful yard work weather. Pool weather is just going to be a little bit too cool pretty much for everyone unless you're in Florida, maybe in parts of Texas. Unless you like swimming in the 60s and 70s, which I don't think most people do. But you get going in time, and you start to get a little bit more heating, but you still don't have super hot temperatures even showing up into next week. You really don't. It looks pretty average to slightly below average. You look at temperature anomalies off the GEFS. It's the GFS ensembles. The blues are the colder, basically colder than average temperatures. The reds, the more warmer colors, are the warmer than average temperatures. It's got a little key right here. So tomorrow we're going to be well below average across the entire deep south, eastern U.S. But even and if you're trying to wonder what day I'm at, look at right here. You get into Saturday, you're still below average. Sunday, below average. Monday, you're still below average. Next week, you start to get more of a neutral, more of a on average. And if you're wondering what average is for your specific area, then the internet is very, check it out. Check out your average temperatures, or contact your National Weather Service in your local region. They will definitely let you know. And it's pretty much accessible, really, even on the Weather Channel app. So, really, average temperatures around here in South Carolina, the Carolinas, is pretty much the 80s outside the mountains this time of the year. So, starting to get pretty far out at this point. But I tell you, all the way through about almost to the tail end of the last week of May, it doesn't look to be very warm temperatures. It doesn't look to be very above average temperatures. The Northeast might get above average. But I want to show you this, the last end of the video, probably the reason why some of y'all clicked it, but I want to show you this. This is basically, you're going to see me show this a lot more, especially if you're new subscribers and you weren't subscribed to my channel last hurricane season, which most of you weren't because my channel was much smaller then, only had several hundred subscribers, and my channel has grown a lot since then. But I love talking about hurricanes, and this is going to probably be something I talk about a lot. I'm not going to hype anything. There's a lot of hyping that goes on in hurricane season with YouTube channels. I'm going to do my best to make y'all aware, but try to limit the hype. So here we go. So we're getting into basically this weekend. You don't see nothing going on. This time of the year, you watch for stalled boundaries, stalled fronts to form, and basically low pressures to form at the tail end of these fronts. They can happen over here. We call them homegrown tropical systems, and they happen a lot this time of the year. The water's just warm enough for tropical development, and though sometimes they like to pop off the jet stream over here. One did last May, or it was last June here, and ended up being one of the, I think it was the first or second tropical system of the year. Ended up kind of riding into the South Carolina as a 45-mile-per-hour tropical storm. That happens a lot. It happens in the Gulf too. But you look, you're getting here in time, you don't see anything. But one thing you'll watch here is we get pretty far out, you know. Look at this. This is a little low pressure trying to pop off right here in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico. Look what it does. It doesn't really develop. It develops into like a low pressure, and you'll see the L pop up right there. It's almost like a little tropical depression. and it kind of just rides into Louisiana, right where Hurricane Laura hit. Just kind of pretty much gives some tropical moisture to Louisiana. But those are the little things we watch at this time of the year, for sure. You know, you begin to watch things like that. You look at this. This is the GFS from 12Z, and this has a tropical system even in a more closer time frame. So you get here in time, and check out here. Look at this little thing form right here. You got a tropical system forming, and I'm speaking as this is one operational run, so it doesn't really mean much. But it's just showing that. It shows kind of the tropical system, same kind of location, but different time frame. So you're starting to get that time of the year, guys, where you start to see that a lot. You look at the Euro, you're wondering what it's saying. It's not showing anything. It doesn't really show any activity in the Gulf. It just shows regular Gulf moisture. This is another thing you'll see me show a lot during tropical systems. This is basically, what this is showing basically is where there's troughs and there's high pressure and there's low pressure. It's a good thing to show when showing kind of the pattern or the blocking you have in place, things that could block tropical systems. One thing is when you have a high pressure, a tropical system can't plow into a high pressure. It has to weave around it. So these kind of darkening colors, this is basically high pressure. This is obviously a low pressure. It has an L right there. So check out how, this is just the Euro, operational one. Check out how high pressure scoots off the coast here, off the coast into the Atlantic. And this is around and kind of dwindles there. So basically, if you get anything that kind of forms in the Gulf, it's not going to really go this way because you still have some high pressure influence right here. It's going to kind of just dwindle into the Gulf. A lot of other things go into hurricane development too, like how much shear is in place. And just, you know, there's not I don't feel like there's as much things that go into what steers and what strengthens a hurricane as in all the factors that go into severe weather and winter, to be honest with you. A big thing is water temperatures. How warm is the water? High pressure. Is there a trough in place? You start to get a lot of that when you get into fall. You get more trough interaction. That's going to push a tropical system one way. Hurricane's not really going to plow right into a cold front. So basically all the directional flow in the atmosphere is what really makes a hurricane go one specific direction. So that's all I got, guys. Pretty much talked a whole lot about nothing, but it's some interesting things to watch coming up. It's going to be interesting to see if we can get maybe a small tropical system that pops off as we get into the tail end of the month. So thank y'all for tuning in, and y'all have a blessed evening.